Unnatural. Unnatural, not natural. The term has negative connotations. To almost all of us, it has negative connotations. No question about that. Why is that? It's very interesting, isn't it? It's very easy to condemn something nowadays simply by calling. All you've got to do is call something unnatural and you've condemned it. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to suggest why something being unnatural makes it bad. So why is it? Are unnatural things bad? Are natural things better than that? You know, the people that kind of use this argument, calling things unnatural, damning them by calling them unnatural more often than anybody else, are Muslims and Christians. Some of that is because there's so many Muslims and Christians, let's be honest about that. But it's very interesting that Muslims and Christians do this so often, because both of them have big hang-ups about sex and big hang-ups about lust. Lusting is not a good thing if you're a Muslim or a Christian. It's not regarded as a very good thing to do. And there's various sexual pursuits which lust leads to, which are not really very good things to do. They don't fit in well with the religion. And the religion tries to tether you back from that, tries to tie you back from that. And the interesting thing is that Muslims and Christians are quite happy to accept and to say to you that these lusts are natural, but you've got to rail against these lusts. You've got to try and tie them back in. You know, you've got to work against them. You've got to stop them going out of control. So what they're telling you to do is to rail against that which is natural, which is that which is unnatural, which is this codified set of rules that religion provides. In this example, they've got no problem whatsoever with going against that which is natural. And yet in other examples, the very fact that something is unnatural is the actual argument that they've used. There's absolutely no consistency whatsoever. We can talk about specific examples here. One thing, homosexuality is something that religion is big on, Islam is big on, and Christianity is big on. Very anti-homosexuality, we all know that. And one of the grounds is that it's unnatural, it's not a natural thing to do. I'm going to give you a bit of a thought experiment here. I'm sat here now in front of my computer. Let's imagine I wasn't. Let's make the computer disappear. Let's make the monitors disappear and the webcam disappear, the tower disappear, the keyboard disappear. Get rid of it all. Let's have another man appear in front of me, okay? So let's imagine this man's in front of me and I'm banging away. I'm having sex with this man. Have that image. If the image isn't appealing, make the image quite a, you don't have to go into any graphic detail. You understand where I'm coming from. Now, how natural is that? Well, we can argue that from an evolutionary perspective or from many perspectives as to how natural that is. But let's assume, let's give it a point and not decide whether it's natural or not, just for the basis of this argument. Let's compare and contrast that to what I am actually doing. What I am actually doing is recording a video. Now, what does that consist of? I'm talking in a normal voice that broadcasts a few feet. Maybe 20 or 30 meters is perhaps as far as my voice would broadcast at the moment. And it's very much in the here and now. What I'm doing, I am talking, but I'm actually holding half of a conversation, and I'm holding half of a conversation with you, the viewer. But how is this working? While I'm speaking, the sounds that I'm creating are being recorded and are being encoded in a compressed format by the microphone on my webcam. At the same time, the charge-coupled device is compressing and digitizing an image of me. Okay, and it's storing that in electronic form, and it's sending that down all these electronic wires to a whole load of hardware that's doing there's a whole load of processing going on, not in the webcam but in the computer, that's doing all this compressing and all this digitizing and all this encoding. Once all that's done, so far this video's all gone in one piece, but I might have to edit it, I might have to splice it together, I might have to add bits, I might have to take bits away. That's a strange concept from a temporal perspective, from a chronological perspective, that bits of time are going to be removed from that conversation, that you will never hear those bits of that conversation. Very strange, but I might do that. Once I've done that, I'm going to upload this conversation. I'm going to put this conversation to a location that is probably thousands of miles away, and this conversation will be stored in time. At another time, you will do exactly the opposite process, and by doing so, you will have access to this conversation. So it's your half of this conversation. You are receiving, my half of the conversation, but it's your half of the interface. And this could take place, your half could be taking place in a few hours from now. It could be taking place in a few days from now. It could be taking place in a few years from now. But get this, even if it takes place in a few years, it will seem as if the words I'm saying, that I am saying right here and now. Now this isn't natural. This is about as unnatural as it gets, you know? You cannot get any less natural from now. Go back to the original image I gave you, if you could, which is remove all the computers and put another bloke here, and I'm banging away at this other bloke, okay? Just imagine that. Which is the more natural? Two human beings doing something, whether it's a man or a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, or even a man and a goat, you know? It's got to be more natural than the process I have just described to you, which is the process of uploading and somebody else viewing a video on YouTube. That's about as unnatural as it can possibly get. So any Christian or any Muslim or anybody who has a problem with things being unnatural, fine, take that stance, but don't, under any circumstances, come on YouTube and start using this argument, because what you're doing by making that video criticising that action is far more unnatural than the action that you're actually criticising. Thank you for listening.